Well, we are live on FinTech Fridays on a Tuesday. That's kind of confusing. Scott Shang, welcome. This is, I think, your second or third time doing the podcast with me and the first time live. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. No, I appreciate the invitation. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I am super excited for this for a couple reasons. One is your content. I've been watching you kind of curate this for a bit now, and it's unbelievable. You and I have a weekly kind of riffing session, and I've been, like I said, watching you kind of pull this together, going back to like November of last year. So for the audience, and we're going to get right into it because there is a ton of content here that Scott's put together. But just be assured that this hour that you're about to experience, this is a master class on Scott's learning. Scott has been spending the last 6+ months experimenting with ChatGPT and Google Bard and all kinds of other tools. And what he's pulled together to show us today is phenomenal, and it's timely for the market. It's timely for our audience. But what he's also going to do at the end of this session is kind of give you the playbook. And I'd encourage anybody that's learning here today, if you want to spend a useful amount of time, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, at the end we'll put up a link to Scott's calendar, and you should take advantage of getting on his calendar. So with that, we want to get right into the topic for today. And this is Scott Shang's presenting how to create homebuyer sales funnels, leveraging these tools that we've all heard of, ChatGPT and Google Bard. And Scott, again, is going to take us through what he's put together to create these funnels, and just excited to learn. If anybody has questions throughout the event, throw those in the comments, and I will do my best to monitor the comments. So with that, Scott, let's get rolling, man.
Cool. Yeah, and if you want to make it full screen and just pull us off, like, we can do that too. There's some writing on here, but like Brian said, I'm going to give you a QR code at the end. Perfect. I'm going to give you a QR code at the end where you can actually have all of these slides. And I'm going to give you a link to all of the ChatGPT prompts that I use in this. I'm not going to show you all of the prompts that I built, but I'm going to show you how I did it. So yeah, Brian, I appreciate this. Yeah, I love our geek out sessions. And yeah, I've had people ask me, oh, so you're pretty good at this. You're like an aficionado. And I'm like, well, it's more like an obsession. I've been a content creator for 15 years. I have a website that gets 25, 30,000 unique visitors every month. I've been doing it for 15 years. And so when this AI came out, I really started playing with it and experimenting with it to try to figure out how I can use it. So today's experiment, it started very simply. I wanted to create an AI-assisted first-time homebuyer sales funnel. So in this market, there's not a ton of opportunity. Anybody who's in this market right now pretty much has to be in the market. And like, if it's a cash out refinance or a life event that's triggering something, that's kind of what we're looking at. These people that are locked into these high 2s and low 3 interest rates, they're going to try to hang on to that as long as possible. So I think everybody pretty much agrees that the market moving forward for at least the next 18 to 24 months is going to be first-time home buyers. And so I went into this thinking, how can we build a database of future first-time home buyers? Hopefully some of them are ready to buy right now, but I want to build a list of future first-time home buyers so that when the market, rates don't have to come down, you guys. They just have to stop moving. And if they settle down, and we know they're going to start gradually coming down at some point in the future, we want to be able to engage that database and start getting them into homes and getting them pre-approved. So we're talking about getting ahead of the game on this. Now, what I'm going to show you is a couple of things. So yes, I'm going to give you a specific strategy that you can take, you can copy, you can use it exactly how I'm showing this to you. But what I really want to do is I want to show you how I did this, so that you can do this yourself. So when I went into this, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to create a first-time homebuyer pipeline strategy. But how this presentation revealed itself happened during the process, and I'm just documenting it. So what you're kind of seeing what you're seeing here is a documentation of me doing this on the fly and doing this live, and it shocked me. So I hope you find something that's good here. So my goal here ultimately is I'm not here to just deliver you a bucket of fish and then you're going to be hungry tomorrow. I really want to teach you how to fish. I want to demystify this AI stuff, and I want to show you the process and to give you confidence to create anything that you can possibly imagine using these tools. So to start, we're going to use two tools. We're going to start with ChatGPT. Well, actually, we're going to finish with ChatGPT, but I'm going to start by explaining ChatGPT. You can get to ChatGPT by going to chat.openai.com. Now, this particular service, I guess, it's a chat bot, and the chat bot is optimized for discussion and conversation. So that's how it's trained. Its superpowers, it's all text-based right now. Its superpowers are being able to make suggestions, to be able to help you with writing and to help you repurpose content. So it's really good at content creation. The other thing we're going to use, which we're actually going to dive into first, is Google Bard. So Bard is Google's version. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Bard in a second, but it didn't start off very good. But Bard is way different from ChatGPT. You can get to Bard by going to bard.google.com. It's free for everybody. There used to be a waiting list until a couple of weeks ago. It also used to be really, really bad until a couple of weeks ago, but now it's pretty good. But Bard is optimized for something completely different from ChatGPT, and I'll dive into that a little bit more in a minute. But it's optimized for search engine results. The way that Google describes Bard is you want to think of it as a librarian for the world's knowledge. And you go up to the desk, you ask the librarian for something, they go back into their archives, and they come out and they describe to you all of the content that they could find on the topic. And again, we're going to show you how this works. Now, yes, I've been doing this for about 6 months. It feels like it's been a lifetime, but ChatGPT literally hit the world on November 30th, 2022. So it's only been in the world for like 7 months, and now you can't go anywhere without hearing about ChatGPT. Now, how ChatGPT works, this is a little bit geeky, but it's called a large language model that uses a natural language processing algorithm. So this chatbot has access to billions of data points only up to September 2021. What you do is you go into this chatbot and you ask it natural language questions. When I say natural language, it's exactly the way that you speak, exactly the way you would talk to your friends. It can understand. What it does is what this algorithm does is it goes into these billions of data points and it observes all of the data points, and then it produces a result for you or an answer by applying reasoning, logic, and context to what you asked it. Now, what ChatGPT is not is really important to understand. It is not smart. It is a trained algorithm. It is not creative. It will only do what you ask. And I have some kind of tricks for that I use to kind of test it to make sure that it it knows what I'm asking it to do. It's not always right. So you need to check your work. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples where it made mistakes in this presentation while I was building this thing out. The other thing is ChatGPT is not connected to the internet. Google Bard is, ChatGPT is not. ChatGPT only has data that goes up to September 2021. So it's not going to know what current interest rates are, what the current market is, or anything like that. The other thing that it's not is it's not magic. And I love this quote by Arthur C. Clarke. It says, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And it feels like magic, but it's not. Well, I'm going to take this a step further. And I'm going to say, well, it's not magic. Its confidence game is strong, because any BS that's delivered quickly and confidently is indistinguishable from the truth. And a couple of people got dinged by this pretty bad. So when Google Bard was introduced in February of this year, it had a global introduction of this new AI that it had. And the question that it asked it is, how do I explain the Hubble telescope to my 9th grader? And it gave the wrong answer. A bunch of astrophysicists came in and said, hey, it doesn't monitor exoplanets. That's the wrong information. And Google actually lost $100 billion of market share overnight because Google Bard made a mistake. Now, when AI makes a mistake, they call it hallucinations. And the reason it's hallucinations is because it really just makes stuff up. This is a great story. This was May 28th. A lawyer in New York was arguing a case, and the prosecution said, Your Honor, none of these cases that the defense is citing, those cases don't exist. And so they did a sidebar, and the defense attorney said, no, I asked ChatGPT to give me these cases, and the judge said, well, but these cases aren't real. And he goes, no, Your Honor, they are real, because I asked ChatGPT if those were real cases. And clearly they weren't real cases. So that's one of my favorite stories of all time. So don't do this. That's my point. Okay, so today's experiment, we're using a classic content marketing strategy called a hub and spoke strategy. And what a hub and spoke strategy is, you create a piece of content that lives preferably on your website, somewhere where you can control the customer experience. You can control what the calls to action are, the calls to engagement. Facebook, LinkedIn, Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, these are all great, but those algorithms are designed by neuroscientists to distract you and get you to go down rabbit holes, leave what you're watching, and go and look at something else. So everything that I do on my channel and everything that I'm doing here, we're trying to capture their attention, and we're trying to bring them to an environment. So we start with the hub, and then you promote it on all of the spokes. So here's an overview of the strategy. We're going to start using Google Bard. And like I said, so Google Bard had Google had a global conference a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Bard got a major update prior to them doing this conference. And it is really good now. It still hallucinates, but it does a much better job than it did before. So we're going to use Google Bard, and we're going to identify geographic targeting to find out where our first-time home buyers are. Now, the reason we do that is because if we're going to put money behind this, like if we're going to do ad spend to try to build a list of first-time home buyers, we don't want to do ad spend to the entire state. We want to target the places where the most first-time homebuyer activity is. Then Then what we're going to do is once we identify those geographic targets, we're going to ask Google Bard to identify the demographic of those home buyers in that area so we can get some additional information so we know who we're talking to. Then we're going to take all of that information, we're going to feed it into ChatGPT, we're going to ask it to write content for our sales funnel for our hub and spoke strategy. So we started at Google Bard, and Brian, you can jump in here anytime if if you have any questions or anything. I think I'm making pretty good time here, so we might even have time for questions at the end. What I started with, so I'm living in Colorado, and so I asked Google Bard, what counties in Colorado have the highest number of first-time home buyers in 2023? And it comes back and it says, according to a 2023 report by the Colorado Department of Housing and Urban Development, the following counties in Colorado have the highest number of first-time buyers: Denver, Adams, Arapahoe, Douglas, and Jefferson. And if you are like me, maybe you noticed something interesting about the source that it got the information from. The Colorado Department of Housing and Urban Development. I did a little bit of research. There is a Colorado Department of Local Affairs and Division of Housing, and there's also a page for Colorado on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, but there is no such thing as a Colorado Department of Housing and Urban Development. So that was a hallucination that it did. And again, I want to stress, don't ask this stuff to do things that you don't already have knowledge about. This isn't going to do your work. Don't be the attorney that shows up in court citing cases that don't exist. So pay close attention to this stuff and just double check your work. So then I asked for homebuyer demographics. I said, could you tell me more about the first-time homebuyer demographic in these counties? Now, we probably already know this. We probably already know, and I knew, but I didn't know. It's our millennial demographic, right? It's the age 25 to 34. So this is what Google Bard came back with. Sure, here's first-time homebuyer demographic in these counties is diverse. Here are some common trends. The age is 25 to 34. Income in these counties are around $75,000. The majority have college degrees. Their occupation, they tend to be more professional and white-collar occupations. The majority of them are married, and the majority of them do not have children yet, which we know from millennial statistics and analytics that's pretty accurate. They're holding off to have children. And so that's our 25 to 34 group. It goes a little bit further, which was really cool. These demographics are similar to demographics of first-time buyers nationwide. We know this, so you're probably going to get a very similar result when you put in your county or when you put in your state. But what I liked here is it kind of identified this as the Front Range region of Colorado. Now, the reason why this is important is because now I can use that wording in my content. I can use that wording when I'm doing targeted Facebook ads to those counties. I can mention Front Range region, and these people are going to know what this is. And so it gives us a couple of reasons why this demographic is a good first-time homebuyer demographic. Strong job market in these areas. The housing is still relatively affordable, and the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, not the Colorado Housing Department of Housing and Urban Development, but the Colorado Housing Finance Authority, which is a real thing, has a lot of first-time homebuyer programs that are available in this area. The other thing you might notice here is because Google Bard assumes that you're a consumer looking for information. It gives you a little bit of extra information. It says if you're a first-time home buyer in the Front Range region, you should connect to a mortgage lender to discuss your options and find the best program for your needs. So I appreciate the referral. Thank you, Mr. Bard. Then I went a little bit deeper and I'm like, okay, I've got some of the demographics. What are the average home prices for this demographic? Now, I asked for the average, not the median, so it's going to give me the average, but whatever number you want to work off of. So here's what it gives me. The average home price in Colorado is $578,500. However, the average price varies per county in the Front Range region. The average home price is higher in other parts of the state. So we've got Denver County, Adams County, Arapahoe, Douglas, and Jefferson. Now, this is helpful because this might tell me where I want to spend my marketing dollars, right? So all of these, I believe, are under the conforming loan limit and the FHA loan limit. But in some cases, maybe Adams County is going to be the lower range of that. Maybe I want to target these first-time home buyers as opposed to Douglas County that are going to be 700 and above. Because remember, these are average home prices, and we're talking about first-time home buyers here. So now everybody knows that interest rates are an issue, but really the biggest challenge out there is inventory, right? Like that's what we hear is there's still multiple offers. Nobody's selling their homes because they're locked into 3% interest rates. So there's very little inventory out there. And we kind of have the same issues that we had during COVID, where there was just super high demand and there wasn't enough inventory. Now we don't have as high of demand because, again, anybody in the market today has to be there. But we have problems with inventory because nobody's selling their homes. So I asked Google and I said, how many homes are currently for sale in these 5 counties in this average home price range? And Bard didn't know. It says, I don't have enough information about that person. So I don't know what person it's referring to, but it doesn't know. So I went to realtor.com and I typed in Denver County and I noticed something interesting. Again, I was doing this in real time. All of these prompts you're seeing, I'm coming up with these on the fly, and then it's making me ask the next question. Like, okay, here's the area, here's the demographic. Tell me what the home price range is. Okay, cool. Now what inventory is available? Now, so this is what I noticed. 4 of the 8 properties that were above the fold. So above the fold is a content marketing term that means what you can see without having to scroll down. So when this popped up, 4 of those were new construction that were not yet built. And I was like, man, that is a really interesting. That's interesting. I did not expect that. I was trying to find, and I typed in the county and I typed in the price range because I was trying to find homes that were in that first-time buyer price range. And if you notice this, these homes are going from $359,900 to $649,900. That's right in my first-time home buyer price range for all of those counties. So then I started thinking, man, I wonder if millennials prefer new construction over resale homes. So I went back to Bard and I said, hey, do you have any information about whether millennials prefer new construction or resale homes? And it said, according to a recent study by the National Association of Home Builders, millennials are more likely to prefer new construction over resale homes, 62%. Only 38% want a resale home. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then it gave me an explanation that made perfect sense to me. New construction is typically energy efficient. So your millennial demographic is very concerned about the environment and saving money. It also says that it's built with newer, more modern amenities. They like open floor plans, stainless steel appliances, and smart home features. They're wired for internet, right? You're not going to find a home built in the 80s that's wired for internet unless somebody put it in there later. And then third, new construction homes are often located in newer, more walkable communities that offer amenities that millennials are looking for, such as parks, restaurants, and shops. So again, it's tying back in to not, you can derive pain points from this, but it's really telling me what millennials are looking for. What are their desires? What are their needs? They like energy efficiency. They like green homes. They like open floor plans with lots of sunshine. They like smart features and smart homes and homes that are wired for the internet. They like to be around amenities. They like parks, restaurants, and shops. Very, very cool. So we just did our groundwork. All right. So our groundwork, we identified our geographic targeting. So this is going to be for SEO. So we're going to use the keywords for the geographic targets. We're going to mention the county names, and we're going to mention, Tri-County area or Four Corners area or Front Range area. This is also going to allow us, when we have to put our ad spend, if we're going to spend money in these areas, which I really recommend you do that, because guess what? Nobody's thinking about building tomorrow's pipeline today. They're just not doing that. There's not going to be a lot of competition for this traffic. And when we have very good targeted marketing and we have very specific geo-targeted marketing, we're only spending money where we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck. We've identified our first-time homebuyer demographic, which is our millennials, and we also identified that 62% of them prefer new construction. So that's our inventory issue. We solved for our inventory problem. So now we're going to go over to ChatGPT and we're going to train up ChatGPT on everything that we just learned. So I'm going to ask it to act like, yep.
One thing before we go off of that last topic, I just want to flash a question that came through. And is there a reason you didn't ask for the average price for first-time home buyers and simply the average price? Any kind of comments on that?
Yeah, so I identified the geographic areas for first-time home buyers. It already knows. That's one of the things with large language models, is they remember the previous questions. So we already asked it where the highest concentration of first-time home buyers are geographically. And so the average home prices in those geographic areas, I made a leap. It should be assuming that I'm talking about first-time home buyers.
Okay, very good.
But that's very astute. That's a really, really good question, and I would encourage you to experiment with that wording. Change the wording around. That's the best thing you can do. That's how I learned all of this stuff, is I just asked a million questions in a million ways, and it doesn't always give you the right answer. So then you reword your question and you keep asking. That's the input equals output part. So we're basically telling it, so we're going to ChatGPT. Remember, ChatGPT is our conversation engine. This is the one that's going to create all of our content. So we're going to train ChatGPT and we're going to tell it who it is. We're going to give it all the content, and then we're going to give it all of our results from Google Bard, and then we're going to ask it to create content based on all the information that we're sending it. So there's a couple things that I want to point out. We're telling it that our target audience is first-time home buyers. We're telling it we're going to give you the geographic information, the demographic information, and information about new construction projects in the area that may appeal to these first-time home buyers. Now, this is important. I get this question a lot. If you don't tell ChatGPT to not produce an output, it'll start giving you an output. So right now, I just want to train it. I don't want it to give me anything because it doesn't have any of the information yet. So I put in here, do not create any output yet. Let me know you understand and you are ready for the source copy. Now, I mentioned earlier that I give ChatGPT prompts to make sure, I don't really want to make sure that that ChatGPT understands what I'm saying. I want to make sure that I'm asking it the right question. So I asked it, let me know you understand and let me know you're ready to proceed. So it comes back and it says, I understand the requirements. As a digital copywriter and marketing professional, I'll be focusing on creating compelling sales funnel for a mortgage loan officer in Colorado, targeting first-time home buyers. This would include understanding the provided geographic and demographic information, as well as new construction projects which may appeal to our target audience. So that's pretty cool, right? Like from that information that I gave it, I know that I gave it the correct prompt. I asked it the right thing because I asked it to repeat it to me. So it says, I'm ready to receive the source copy. Please continue. So I said, okay, we're targeting the following geographic areas of Colorado that have the highest number of first-time buyers. Do not create content yet. Let me know you understand the copy and you're ready for the next set of information. And then what I did is I pasted all of the geographic information into ChatGPT. And it came back and it said, great, the primary target areas are these counties in the Front Range region of Colorado that appeal to first-time buyers due to the strong job market, relatively affordable housing, and availability of government-backed mortgages. I have taken note of these points and I'm ready for the next set of information. So you'll recognize that wording from the results that we got from Google Bard, right? So we punch that in there and then I say, great. Now I'm going back to Google Bard and I'm saying, here's the demographic characteristics of first-time homebuyers in these counties and the unique factors that contribute to the high number of first-time buyers in this region of Colorado. Do not create content. Let me know when you're ready. And again, this thread, all of everything I'm showing you now is in ChatGPT. When you scan my QR code at the end, you're going to get this entire thread. So I'm not showing you all of the answers because that would just take forever. And the answers weren't always right. So I think you can see my different versions of how to do this. Brian, if you can keep track of those questions, I'd like to address those questions as we go, but I kind of want to get through this part. We will have time for questions at the end. So then what I did is so based off of the realtor.com, I took one of the builders' websites and I said, I'm going to give you information from a local builder who's building homes that meet the needs of the first-time homebuyer demographic. You will not copy this information in our sales and marketing funnel. You are only using the information as source materials. Do not create content yet. Just let me know. So I went to a builder called Taylor Morrison, and it had a really great website, really great information about, and it basically was speaking directly to millennials. So I copied that, punched it into ChatGPT, and I said, here's more information about the new construction. So now the training is done. It says the information given from the High Point property from Taylor Morrison, and it talks about what the features are for these homes that are in that price range, and it says that details Denver as a city, its top employers, educational institutions, all this good stuff, and it says I'm ready for the next information. So now we're going to build our hub and spoke strategy. We're going to build a blog, we're going to build Facebook ads, and then we're going to build an email sequence with some calls to engagement and some downloads so that we can get these first-time buyers into our database so that we can nurture them until they're ready. And I'll kind of show you how that works. So I'm not going to read this entire thing, but basically I said, I want you to write me an article using the geographic data, using the demographic data, and we're going to talk about features of new construction that are going to be available starting in October 2023. We're going to use this particular community from this builder. We're not promoting this community or the builder, and then I give it my content tactics. You're going to follow Google's SEO best practices using the geographic and demographic keywords. You're going to optimize the article format for readability, H2 and H3 headlines and bullet points to follow best practices for how millennials consume online content. So SEO is one thing, readability is a completely different thing. So you can create something with 5,000 words and Google will pick it up and it'll rank for those keywords, but it might be an unreadable article. So one of the things as a content creator, if you're going to publish content, it's more of a visual experience than it is a reading experience. It's not like reading a book. Most people look and they call it an F pattern. They read the top headline and then they scan down the left-hand side at the headlines and the bullet points and they determine whether or not they want to read the rest of the article. I want the tone to be enthusiastic. Temperature 0.8. So temperature is a, I forget what they call it. It's a prompt that you give these AI engines that tells it how creative you want it to be, how much creative license you want to give it. And it's on a scale of 0 to 1. 0.8 is relatively creative. It's going to try to use words that are not commonly used. It's going to phrase things in a way that are a little bit more creative. If you did like a 0.1, it would probably just repeat itself a lot and it would just give the same information. Out of the box, ChatGPT 4 is probably about a 0.5 or a 0.6. The other thing that I put on all of my prompts is the reading level, right at a 9th grade reading level. Now, this article is too long for you to see, but I wanted to give you an example of what the blog posts look like. And if you don't like the headlines, you can ask it to rewrite the headlines. You can ask it to rewrite all kinds of things, and it'll do it. But this is kind of interesting. And so I want to point out a couple of things to you. The excitement of owning your first home, this first paragraph, embarking on the journey of becoming a first-time home buyer or homeowner is a milestone filled with anticipation and excitement. There's nothing quite like the pride and fulfillment of calling a house your own. In the thriving state of Colorado, particularly the vibrant Front Range region, these dreams are becoming a reality for many young professionals. So you see how it's integrating for SEO purposes and for readability purposes. It's integrating my geographic and my demographic criteria so that it's relevant to my target market. And then it goes straight into the benefits of new construction for first-time home buyers. And then we have our bullet points here. That's very readable, that's very consumable, and it's almost like we have a crystal ball and we know what this millennial demographic is interested in because we know 62% of them prefer new construction. And we're going to explain why they like new construction. It says right here, with the latest appliances and building techniques, you're under efficiency. Your new home is likely to be more energy efficient, saving you money in the long term. So really, really cool stuff. So now what I did, so the first thing that I did is I want to capture their email address, right? So I like, many of you probably know Jason Frazier. He has been talking about something. He doesn't like the word call to action, and I agree with him. He likes the word call to engagement because at the end of the day, you guys, this is all we're trying to do. We make a living by having conversations with consumers about qualifying for a mortgage, about buying for a home. So we want to inspire engagement. In this particular strategy, we want to capture their contact information, right? So what I want to do is I want to offer them a home buying guide. So I said, I want you to write a call to engagement for this article. I want first-time homebuyers to download a home buying guide that will help them prepare for home ownership and address the pain points and preferences of the millennial demographic. So then it gives me this paragraph that goes at the bottom of my article. Start your home buying journey today. Get ready to transform your homeownership dreams into a reality. Download this free home buying guide. So they go to there, we're going to ask them for their name and their email address, and then we're going to deliver their home buying guide by email. Well, we need a home buying guide, right? So now I'm going to ChatGPT. I want you to write a home buying guide that addresses the pain points and preferences of our first-time buyer millennial demographic. Format the guide to follow readability best practices, including headlines and bullet points. This doesn't have to be SEO optimized because it's a download. It's a PDF. It's not going to be scanned. It's not going to be indexable by Google. So then it writes me a home buyer guide, your first time home buying guide for millennials. Now, I don't know if I would include the word millennials or not. I prefer to assume who's reading my content and not necessarily say it. So I would probably massage this a little bit more. And that's part of what I want you to see. This isn't always perfect when it comes out the first time, but in my experience, Brian, we've got, can we mute everybody? We're getting an echo here. Somebody's speaker is open.
Yep.
So, yeah, perfect. So, where was I with this? So I guess basically we asked it to create this guide so that they can download it. So really we want to capture their information. Now, what I did with this is it gives us the table of contents, but now what I want to do is, actually, this is a little bit different order. So now I asked it to write some Facebook ads. And I said, listen, we have this blog post and we have this free guide that we're going to give people. I want you to write some blog posts for me that target these millennials. So, and you'll see the prompt in the ChatGPT prompt that I gave you, but I wanted to kind of just show you an example of what it is. And it says, hey, ready to embark on the exciting journey of home ownership? Fresh new construction opportunities are popping up in Denver. Say goodbye to the stress of bidding wars and hello to brand new homes. Because I told it with new construction, you don't have the same bidding wars as you have with existing properties. Check out our latest article to explore this new wave of properties. Want to prepare for home ownership? Don't forget to download our comprehensive home buying guide. Let's make your dream home a reality. Read more and download the guide. So hopefully they're going to go to my article and they're going to download my guide. Now, once they download my guide, I'm going to write a 14-day email sequence. Now, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but essentially what I did is I said, hey, I want you to write 7 email campaign that's going to be delivered using email delivery best practices. And I want you to spread it out so that it's delivered over 14 days. What I also want you to do is in each email, I want you to reference one of the bullet points that you saw here in the table of contents. I want you to reference each one of those in the email, elaborate it on a little bit, and encourage them to schedule a time on my Calendly link to have more of a conversation. So what I'm doing is I'm reminding them that they got this home buyer guide, which I think is of value. And I'm also telling them, hey, listen, here's my calendar link if you have any questions, because again, call to engagement. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to have conversations with these folks about qualifying for mortgages. So after the 7-day sequence is done, I want to get them into a long-term nurture sequence. So I want to give them something that they're going to stick with, that I can keep them engaged, because these homes aren't going to be available until the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So I asked it, I want you to write an 8th email that's going to be delivered 7 days after the 7th email. And the subject of this is, it's never too late to start prepping to buy your first home now. Even if you're 6 months 6 months to a year from buying. The intent is for the emails to empathize with the fact that they're not ready now, but that's okay. I'm here to help anytime they have questions. And the call to action is to click another link to get on a list of new construction homes and updates. So what I essentially am telling them is if you click this link, and most CRMs, if they click the link, it'll allow you to put them in another campaign automatically. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up this campaign with new construction projects. So now I go back to Google Bard and I say, hey, can you tell me which new construction communities are currently under construction in the Front Range region of Colorado that will be available in later 2023 to 2025? And here's what it gave me. Now look at the wording on this. I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to put this in either a document or my follow-up email for the long-term nurture. And quite frankly, I'm going to bookmark these new construction communities, and I'm going to check in once a month, because they're going to break ground on a new section, or there's going to be a new model that's introduced, or the model home for this new section is going to be introduced, or they're now starting a waiting list for homes that are going to be available in 2024. So this wording is amazing. In Colorado Springs is a new community of single-family homes with starting prices in the 400s. Homes in this community range from 1,500 to 2,500. We'll have 3 to 4 bedrooms. Community is located just outside of I-25, close to shopping, dining, and entertainment. Does that wording sound familiar to you? They want space. They want to be close to shopping, dining, and entertainment. That's what our millennial demographic is looking for. Now, this is where this gets really, really interesting. When you start building lists of these communities, now all of us hate to go up against builders. The problem is once your buyer gets caught into the builder's net, you can almost forget it, because even though the rates are higher, the terms are worse, they're not going to have the options that you're going to have, most likely. They're probably not going to be as experienced as you are, but the builder is offering, okay, I'm glad you asked that. I didn't quite read the question, but I'm going to talk to you about this. So here's what you do. If you take this to the builder, have this conversation up front. Go to the builder and say, hey, listen, now there's a little bit of a downside. You're not going to be able to get your referral partners, your real estate agents involved. But go to these builders and say, listen, I'm generating a lot of business for new construction. Now, I don't have a real estate agent involved because I'm their first point of contact. But what I want to ask you is, if I bring you a buyer, will you give them the same credits, the same upgrades, the same credits, and will you leave them alone? And you will find builders will absolutely do this for you. If they do not do it for you, you move on to the next builder and you exclude that builder from all of your marketing. So you're not going to a builder saying, hey, I want to be your lender. Will you send me your content? No, you're going to the builder and you're saying, listen, I have a list that I'm marketing to of first-time home buyers that want to buy in the next year, and I love your community. I would love to send you this business, but I need you to work with me on this. It might take a little bit of an effort, and it might take a couple of doors that you got to knock on, but you guys, I promise you, when I was originating, I was very, very successful at using this strategy. Talking to the builders, just having a conversation with them and saying, listen, you don't have to pay a real estate agent commission. I'm not asking for anything. Just treat my buyers. Let me do the loan and give them the same opportunity as if they were using your lender. And you will find builders that will do this. And trust me, once you start doing those loans for them, you probably have a really good opportunity at earning some of their future business that their current lender is going to turn down because they don't have the same chops as you. Now, because we love our friends at FinLocker, and this is FinTech Fridays live on a Tuesday, I've put together a completely separate. I've got a completely separate ChatGPT thread that instead of doing the call to engagement to download a home buyer guide, the call to engagement is to download my free mortgage readiness app, which is my FinLocker app. I also have 5 Facebook ads for you to drive traffic to your hub. I've given you 8 emails over 14 days, and the call to engagement is to download your FinLocker app so that you can get them into that database as well. And all of those are included when you hit the QR code at the end. And this is an example of what the prompt is. Now I want you to write another call to engagement. I want first-time homebuyers to download our free mortgage readiness app from your phone or desktop. You can monitor your credit, run credit score scenarios to improve your score, set up budgets, track expenses, everything that will help them prepare for home ownership and address the pain points and preferences of the millennial demographic. And so this is the prompt that sets up all of those emails, the call to engagement, and the email follow-up. All right, we're going to have time for questions. Let's do a really quick review. I showed you how to create a hub. That's your main article. We did geographic and demographic targeting for this blog post. So you're going to get picked up on Google and SEO. We're going to run Facebook ads to the article. We're going to offer a home buying guide. We're going to offer our FinLocker. And it's not either or, you guys, it's and. You're going to offer them a home buying guide, and you're going to offer them your FinLocker app. We did email campaigns with the call to engagement to schedule a calendar appointment with you, start the conversation early, start the relationship early, and then we're going to do the emails for the new construction list, and then we're going to do new construction updates. And that's what I got for you.
Oh, my head is spinning, Scott. There's so much there. Thank you for the very detailed walkthrough, not just showing the outputs, but kind of giving the theory behind, how you interrogated the platform and really built out a well thought out set of prompts.
That's actually an accurate description. Sometimes it's funny if you tell it, no, that's not what I asked for, it'll apologize.
So I saw a survey on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. People asked, are you using please and thank you when you're writing your prompts, and does it make a difference?
I always do. And that is basically so when AI takes over the world, it remembers I'm one of the good guys.
That's right. You were raised right. So you did a pretty good job of answering questions as they were coming in. Here's one that I'll show from Wendy Thompson. Are you using ChatGPT 4?
Yeah, Wendy, I paid for ChatGPT. All of my prompts are based in ChatGPT 4. Supposedly 3.5 Turbo, which is the free. Actually, I'm pretty sure 4 is going to be the default for everybody here pretty soon. But no, I pay the $20 a month for, and I have some podcasts on my YouTube channel. ChatGPT 4, the difference between that and the free version is night and day. At least when it comes to like logic and context and things like that, I use ChatGPT 4 for everything.
And any special plugins?
You know what? I'm not happy with their plugins. I had early access to the plugins. I had early access to the internet, and it just wasn't great. It hung up all the time. I've played with the plugins for Zillow and Redfin, and it's not good. That's not what ChatGPT was designed for. ChatGPT was designed for conversation and discussion. That's what the chatbot was designed for. It's not trained for this other stuff. Bard is amazing. Bard is really, really good. Again, check your work. Don't ask for nuclear physicist formulas for, converting, raw metals into gold. It's not going to do alchemy for you. If you don't know what you're asking it, you're not going to know if the answers are accurate. So be careful with that. But No, I don't like the plugins for ChatGPT, but I do really like Google Bard right now. It gives pretty good, accurate information, and it will cite where it's getting the information from.
Just a reminder, folks, on the screen, you've got the QR code where you can download these slides. And equally important to the slides, in my opinion, are all the prompts that
Yes.
Scott shared that you can then create, use and edit to speak in your own voice.
Yeah, and Brian, if you don't mind, so one of the things that I'd like to offer everybody that's listening to this is, I've been trying to figure out how can I help people with this. You can hire me based on the project to write all of your prompts and create your campaigns for you. Just jump on my calendar. We can have a conversation, see if it makes sense. We'll come to an agreement. I've been doing this night and day for about 6 months. And quite frankly, I probably only need to build it for you once and you can take it from there. But I am available to help you with that. And my calendar link, also there's a link to my podcast on there on YouTube, and it's on Spotify, the videos. And I've done a lot of videos on different strategies showing you exactly the same type of style, but with different strategies. I just did one on cash out refinance campaigns that was really strong, and I've got some really good classes in there to how to teach ChatGPT to act like you, feeding it information about you so that it can write your bios and things like that.
So Scott, just to be clear, folks, when you scan the QR code, I just did this on my phone, so we're doing it live. You'll get to a page that Scott set up. The first selection in that page is presentations and prompts. And that's, if you click there, that's where you'll see all the content that Scott took you through.
And you can download this slide deck as well. So you'll have the whole slide deck. You can download the slide deck and you'll get all of the prompts. There's a lot of the output that I didn't show you here for the sake of time, but all of that's in the prompt thread that I gave you. And basically you can just say it'll add it to your ChatGPT, and then you can go through and edit those things.
There's another question there for you. Do you recommend a ChatGPT for an AI chat that can be used with Go High Level?
I've heard that Go High Level has a ChatGPT integration. So here's the thing, you guys. Any platform that you get that says that that it has AI integration, you don't have the ability to create those prompts. All they're doing is they're pre-writing the prompts. And so those prompts are going to be the same prompt that everybody's using. They're not going to have temperature and tone and reading level. You're not going to have a lot of flexibility on there. I would say that it's going to be better than nothing, but it's going to be more like Jasper. So like Jasper.ai is going to give you title ideas and different types of content that it's going to create, but you don't have access to the prompt that's writing that output, that's creating the prompt that's giving you the parameters for the output. So I think all of those things are going to be good. You're going to see it integrated into a lot of things. Don't buy into the hype. This stuff isn't magic. It's not hard. I would encourage you to play with ChatGPT so that you can kind of learn the parameters and what it can do. Great feedback, you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate the response. I'm glad this was helpful. I'm glad my crazy obsession can be helpful to other people.
Yeah, this is amazing, Scott. And like I said, I've had kind of a front row seat to what you've been doing for the last 6+ months, and to see it kind of all come together in a very cohesive package is amazing. I'm excited to take some of these learnings and kind of geek out on this myself here in the coming days and weeks.